Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of UCF Business Talk, the only UCF marketing and business show for UCF business owners. My name is Roger Phipps. I'm the COO and founder for Seven Lights Marketing, Bird Eye View, and several other businesses, including a new one that we incorporated this week. So super excited about that. I'm also your consultant for anything marketing, financial, tech related, and leadership. So excited this week. We have some people that are going to be missing, but we have Alan Levin back this week. So let me go ahead and welcome Alan back in. Hey, Alan, welcome to the stream.
Hey there. How's it going, Roger?
It's awesome. Welcome. It's great to have you back. We have a special guest this week, Jeff Gum. It looks like he was in the waiting room, but he's popped out. So we're hoping to get to talk to him very shortly. Excited about having him this week. He is a very special UCF alum, someone who is not only a successful business person, but is also served our country in a way that very few have and can. He was actually part of the Navy SEALs, which is an accomplishment all in itself. So I'm excited to talk to him about that, about how that prepared him for his business journey, and what kind of tools he's going to bring to bear from both his time at UCF and his experiences at UCF and experiences in the Navy. So hopefully he'll pop here pretty soon this week. Unfortunately, we won't have Rob Powers, and Jeff just popped back in. Awesome. So I'm gonna pop him in here and we'll introduce him. We won't have Rob Powers this week. He may join us a little bit later. And Josh Lazar will be back as well. So let me pop Jeff into the stream. There is Jeff. I'm going to pop him over here. Welcome, Jeff, to the show. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us and fellow UCF guys just trying to help other UCF folks succeed. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And sorry about that. It just kicked me off like as soon as I got in and everything. So had to just go back in.
See, this is why you need a tech consultant right here. I'm just going to shameless plug right here. No.
Yeah.
But thank you for bearing with the technology and joining us this week. I was kind of giving everybody a little bit of a lowdown of who you are and your history, but I'm going to let you do that in your own words. You had a very, very unique journey and one most of us haven't had either the pleasure or the intestinal fortitude to go through, but it's one as a military family I'm very appreciative of, and I've done a lot of, research and just reading about what that whole journey is like, and what that whole journey is like, and how that prepares you for life. So, I'm excited if you can just kind of start with, hey, who are you, and how was your UCF journey, and when did it start, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jeff Gum. I grew up in Pennsylvania, was born in like a very small town. I was actually raised on a dairy farm. And as I was like going to high school, I was an athlete and, took school pretty serious at the same time. And then when I was looking for what I wanted to go into, I actually tore my ACL when I was 16 playing basketball, and I was stuck in a brace and couldn't do too much. I realized I needed like the biggest challenge in order to be fulfilled. I didn't want to just go do, kind of normal college and then get a job right away. I was like, what can I do to really challenge myself? And I discovered, being a Navy SEAL.
Everybody just discovered as being a Navy SEAL. That's a big challenge, my friend.
Yeah. So, I kind of became obsessed with being a SEAL, made me take my recovery even more serious, got really into lifting, did like 4 sports. And then all of a sudden 9/11 happened my senior year of high school. And wow. It just reaffirmed it like 100-fold. Okay, I don't want to be a SEAL to go, selfish reason for the challenge. but I wanted to be a Navy SEAL to go hunt the most evil people in the world and make sure 9/11 never happened again, and also to learn, how to fight, how to be a real man, all these badass skills, how to shoot guns, blow stuff up, jump out of planes, skydive, climb mountains, and have all these skill sets that I can always make sure my family and friends are protected. And so started looking at different colleges and everything, and I thought, oh, going to school in Florida would be awesome. And at the time, UCF wasn't a household name the way it is today. I first applied to UF and Miami, got in there, and I talked to my cousins who were living in Florida, and they were like, hey, we're living in Orlando. We went to UCF. The school is amazing. You got to come down. We'll give you a tour. I went visited the campus. I'm like, this is amazing. And it makes sense to, if I'm coming, 18 years old, out of state, I should have family close by. And they'd take me around campus a lot, and I just loved the area. And so I was like, UCF it is. And I've been, loved being a Knight ever since. And so graduated. I got there in 2002. I graduated in 2006, and my last couple of years I got really into martial arts, trained at Gracie Baja Orlando, doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. Just wanted to, learn some more skill sets and everything, got dive certified, and then start training with collegiate swimmers, and left for SEAL training in summer 2007. And first went to Great Lakes, right by Chicago. And then I went to Coronado, San Diego, California in October 2007, and then started SEAL training and made it through training. There was definitely some big challenges along the way, but I succeeded. A lot of life lessons. I've talked about my experience there through several other podcasts, but we'll focus on kind of the business and everything here. So did 2 deployments to the Middle East. First one was Iraq, going after bomb makers and different terrorists and everything. Came back. I did sniper school, breacher school, and then did my second deployment. Went all around the Middle East. That's where I injured my back. I had to fly to Germany and had a spine surgery. So I recovered, did a lot of physical therapy, became an instructor, started teaching all the hand-to-hand combat for the SEAL teams, and did that for several years. And I trained with a lot of, guys in the UFC, became really close with the Gracie family. I had went down to Brazil several times, and that's where I discovered the special type of Brazilian swimwear called Sungas. And I had already been very drawn to entrepreneurship and wanted to get into that. I just never knew what kind of product I wanted to create. My cousins were successful entrepreneurs, Lou Lenteni and Greg Lenteni, who are UCF alumni. Lou ended up founding Echelon Fitness, and had really kind of mentored me along the way while I was in school. But, my dream was to be a SEAL first and then go back and do business later. So, one door started to close, my back getting worse and worse. So was retired from the SEAL teams after 10 years. And then I had been going to LA a lot during that time, and had several friends who had done their MBA at Wharton and had founded several companies. So I started seeing what they were doing, and I was like, oh, I could, do my MBA. That could be a good transition point, since I've been, out of school and not, really actually founded Sunga Life while I was an active SEAL, but I felt I still had a lot to learn in business before, really be able to take a company and scale it. So I applied. I had a lot of connections in LA, and it was a great place for swimwear and a lot of unique opportunities. So I applied to UCLA, got in there, brought Sunga Life through the entrepreneurship pipeline, and started growing the business. Through that, I was able to go on Mike Tyson's podcast and have a lot of other, cool opportunities. But I always loved Florida since I had lived there, and I was like, I gotta get back to Florida. I was also doing a lot of work saving the coral reef in South Florida with the Force Blue team. They take former special operators and we dive, save the coral reef, save sea turtles, work with a lot of the top coral scientists and turtle scientists in the world. And we create documentaries to of the work we do to try to create real change. So I was loving doing that. I was like, I need to just make my home in South Florida, and it's also closer to my family in Pennsylvania. It's a much easier flight to go home, see them. I had a little baby niece and nephew, so it's been great. I could fly back and see them every month. I'm actually here right now with my family. So and I head back to Florida on the 2nd or 3rd. So it's been a really cool journey, and getting to do all that and a lot of unique opportunities along the way.
Yeah, that's you've done more than most of us do in an entire lifetime in probably the span of 10 years, right? So,
Thank you.
number one, again, thank you for your service and your family. One of the things as a military family, one thing people forget is it's not just the folks that are in the field, but it's also the folks that are at home that are affected and are making sacrifices. So appreciate that. And it's funny,
Thank
we're
you.
actually, you look a lot younger than I am, but we actually had a little overlap at our time at UCF. So I think I'm a couple of years probably older than you, but probably look like I'm 30 years older than you. But it's interesting that you took the path you did. Like for me, it was like I went corporate America, C-suite first, and then I came back into entrepreneurship. So you did something wholly different, but I think the skill sets that you learned, especially as a special operator, um, a lot of people don't realize it is physical, but it's also mental. And a lot of that
Definitely.
is being able to overcome challenges. So
Mhm.
was there anything that kind of stood out for you now that you're like have transitioned to the civilian and business world? Lessons that you learned while you were a special operator that you could take and employ as a business owner?
Yeah, I would say be thankful for the challenges and setbacks that you have, and because they end up being the greatest lessons and make it so much more worth it when you eventually make it. If things were just easy, then it wouldn't mean anything, and anyone could do it. So every time I get a setback, every time I encounter a problem that I need to figure out, it I just say thank you to it, and reframing it that way, it's not gonna, scare you. It's not gonna frustrate you. You're just like, all right, how do I get to work on this? How do I solve it? And also, you know, there are certain things where you could like be born, the toughness, but most things are learned in the SEAL teams and special operations. Nobody knows how to clear a house perfectly or shoot someone a mile away perfectly. You have all these skill sets that you learn along the way, and you train nonstop for it. So I know I don't need to, especially someone that didn't come up in business. I've been newer to this. I'm not afraid to go and ask my network for I'm like, oh, it's like a finance question, or who do I ask for this? And I don't have to know everything. I just need to have the best group of like mentors and friends that I can reach out to for every problem that I have.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the SEAL team terms that I've familiarized myself with, and not just SEAL teams, but I think all special operators is work the problem, right?
Yeah.
So that's the constant focus is like work the problem and
Yep.
really overcome the suck. So
Embrace the
you
suck.
embrace the suck. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a phrase you hear from day one. And I think it's true for business, right? I
Yeah.
think like for me, it's been one of those journeys where you do it I've done it now at a larger scale organizations, and I've done it at startup, and now going, I'm actually doing 9 and 12 months. I know I'm crazy, but that's been my personal journey and my embracing the suck, which is a lot of pivoting. But I feel like that those lessons, right, are so important because a lot of people, I think, they feel like they want to be entrepreneurs, but they ring the bell early on their business, right?
Yeah.
So, because
Yeah.
they
The
go ahead.
the other big quote is the only easy day was yesterday. And for sure that not only applies for the SEAL teams, but to business as well. Even if you're Elon Musk, like the only easy day was yesterday, like.
No, I agree, because I mean, this is the guy who's been sleeping on a factory floor because the Model 3 wasn't going right.
Yep,
So
yeah.
he literally slept on the factory floor, and some people think they're crazy for it, but it's getting in and working the problem, right?
Mhm.
And until you're comfortable with it. So, it's interesting to me that you also mentioned some tools that you got through Wharton and through that MBA program. UCF actually has very similar tools that they've kind of built out. They're actually opening their 7th incubator location in Central Florida. And the only reason I bring it up is we had a conversation with them on how we can support them last week. So I've been talking about that on the show. What were some of the things that you found of value specifically from the incubator program there at UCLA?
One of the biggest ones for me was, I did 3 different accelerators. One of them was my master's thesis, and I had like 4 other MBA students work on Sunga life for a grade. So it was really cool having these top tier MBA students. Some were like PhD engineers, others were like masters of accounting already and had worked in corporate America for 10 years as doing marketing positions. So people from different backgrounds working on your business for a grade was pretty incredible. And then some other stuff. Probably the best thing was just having to pitch my business 1,000 times. Like it was almost like speed dating, where we'd go in and they'd have like a top VC or entrepreneurs that you'd have to tell you have 5 minutes to pitch your business, tell them about it. Then it was like give a quick little debrief on how you did, and you're on to the next one. You do like 10 or 15 sometimes in like a few hours. So just getting really comfortable, knowing the things that they took like most positively, some things you didn't need to necessarily mention, and just fine tuning that over and over and seeing like, all right, now I got a 3 minute, I got 3 minutes to get it out. What are the key points? All right, I got 15 minutes to tell the story. All right, these are the main points I want to do. And just having the different business pitches and the different levels. All right, which one am I gonna give here? What's this type of person? What are they gonna like the most? And yeah, doing all that was pretty interesting. The first one I did, Startup UCLA, I think I was like picked as the winner basically, and had it was like the son of, I think it was Kleiner Perkins, that was kind of like a mentor to me for a while. And he had invested in biggest companies in the world, and he was like mentoring me for a bit, and just some really good access.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things that is kind of like a hidden secret for us. We've kind of been highlighting this because Jesse Wolf from an Odang Hummus, I don't know, with you being out of the state so much, remember him and his story. He actually made it to Shark Tank, and he was telling us about his story. And, one of the things he did was leverage the incubator program as well. So one of the things we're trying to do is highlight that for folks, because like people like me, we didn't have an incubator program when I was going through my undergrad. I started in '99, so a few years younger than you, but we didn't have an incubator program at that time, right? And so a lot of this is what we're trying to do here is awareness and kind of share those stories. And I'm so happy to hear you say, hey, look, if you do leverage those tools that are available to you, and not just from a networking perspective, but you have people invested in helping you succeed, to do that. You know what I mean? And I love hearing that. One of the things that you'd mentioned, and I think people don't understand, I know I keep going back to a lot of SEAL references, but that's a pretty unique journey. In SEAL teams, it's my understanding, and that folks, it's not as rigid of a structure, right? It's you work together. People think of the military, they think it's very rigid. It's not that way for special operators in the sense
for
that
sure.
everybody's encouraged to think and bring
Mhm.
things to the table. And I think that's important in business and in leadership. Can you
Yep.
kind of talk a little bit about that and how that's helped you?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of times, more conventional military, you're gonna have your like main officer who's actually a lot of times very inexperienced. They're like a junior officer, a like second lieutenant. They hardly have any experience, and they're in charge of 30 guys. And then the ranks kind of go a lot slower, to get up to the ranks and everything. But like in the special operations and the SEAL teams, it's a much more rapid advancement, and everyone is a leader. I mean, one of my first schools, I mean, we'd skydive into the Persian Gulf, and a big Navy ship would pick us up, and none of us would be wearing rank, because we don't do that. Um, we all basically refer to each other first name basis. It's a relaxed standard in a lot of ways, but that because our training is such a high level. So the yeah, it just
Well, how does that dynamic work? So, like, I think a lot of people, there's been so long that it's been a top down kind of uh, org structure for people in leadership. In the last, I don't know, like 10 years or so, that's kind of pivoted right to having a flatter organization,
yeah. So
less levels.
everyone's a thinking shooter. Everyone's in, just like, if everyone is empowered to make decisions. And I my first deployment, I was a source handler, and I was,
Mhm.
meeting with locals, finding out what the terrorists were doing in the area. I would go back and brief my chief and OIC, and based off of that direct intel, we'd go and hit the targets that night. And if you have like a maybe even it can be like a leaner startup where you don't have as many people, but everyone's empowered and can make calls on their own, and be creative and have multiple roles. Like, I talk about all the qualifications you might have. Like, I was a sniper, breacher, source handler, machine gunner. It's like that's not very normal. So you have all these overlapping um, qualifications, and that's how it can be a lot as an entrepreneur, especially in the beginning before you are able to build your team and everything. I was a solopreneur, having to figure out everything on my own, and that's why it was so important to be able to reach out to that network that I had, because I didn't have a marketing department, I didn't have a finance department, I didn't have an operations department. I was all these things in the beginning until I was able to start making enough revenue and be able to build my team and everything. So there's definitely a lot of similarities along these things as well.
Awesome. I think you're 100% right. And when it comes to scale specifically, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable and have a change culture, right? And
Yeah.
that's with my teams, whether I was talking in the corporate world or otherwise. I always wanted to promote a change culture, which included empowering people.
Mhm.
I think that you move forward faster by making mistakes. I think you move forward faster by, stepping in when people needed to be, right, and facilitating and creating a culture where people are expected to have a voice and it's like in the military. If you've got a group of people that or a unit, right, the colonel may get the mission order, right, and then they're going to bring it down to the captain or whatever, but you guys are going to bring the plan. They're going to say these are what the objectives are. You guys are going to bring the plan to them and say, okay, this is how we'd like to accomplish it. And they may tweak some things here and there, but it's your plan, right? And
Mhm.
empowering you guys who are going to go execute the mission, you guys are the ones that are coming up with the plan. And I think that's so important to facilitate that, and for us as leaders to be that support structure while still having the ability to move in the right direction when we need to. So I think that's a big lesson for me in the civilian space and corporate space, right? That I've kind of learned and taken with me, and it's allowed me to go forward faster. And I feel like from the military, especially from DevGru, they do that right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
You guys, that's ingrained in you.
Yep. It's and so the faith goes both ways, from the bottom up and the top down, and everyone's covering for each other. And like Mike Tyson said, at the same time, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. I don't know if there's ever been a mission where everything just went perfect from top to bottom, exactly what they thought. So the first, things go wrong or just different than expected nonstop, but nobody bats an eye. We were expecting this to happen, this to change, and you just immediately problem solve, figure it out, move on to the next one. Don't even skip a beat. That goes the same for business.
So
markets change, products change,
Well, and you learn, right?
Yeah.
So what your original plan is, especially as a startup, we went through this, I've got 2 patents that I've done recently, and we're dealing with angel investors on 2 different projects, 2 different software companies. And one of the things you learn very quickly is you've got your idea of the business, and then you kind of chisel it down, present, and then you have your network that's giving you hopefully some advice as well. And then when you finally get to it, then you put it in place. You start the business, you start doing the business, and then very quickly you pivot. So and you continue to pivot. So you're 100% right. I did want to ask you this question. I know it's a silly question, but when you were sitting across from Mike Tyson on his podcast, did you ever think in my prime, obviously this was after your back injury, but in my prime, I could have taken this guy?
So really, really funny story. We're sharing stories. We are going through all this different stuff, and they're like, "Oh, so tell me about Sunga Life." And I walk through the history of the brand, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, show us the products." They're going through, and I'm like, "Yeah," and I just created a new bikini line now. And they're like, "Oh," and they click on the bikinis, and they're going through the photos, and Mike's like, "Wow, the girl's really hot." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's my girlfriend Bianca." And Mike's like, "Yeah, the most dangerous guys always have the hottest girls." And I'm like, Mike Tyson just called me dangerous. and yeah, it was pretty good. I was actually doing it with my friend Kyle Maynard, who was born without arms and legs and was a champion wrestler and jiu-jitsu fighter and bear crawled Kilimanjaro and fought MMA and all kinds of crazy stuff. And we ended up, doing that podcast together. Ended up being about 90 minutes at the time. It was his longest podcast. And we closed it out. And then we sat in there another 90 minutes and just kept telling more stories and more stories. And, I'd go back like 2-3 months later and like see the guys and stuff. And Mike would see me from across the room. He'd like wave, come over, give me a hug. He was just like the nicest, like coolest, most charismatic guy. It was really special. And then that was shortly before he started like really getting back in shape and really getting after his fitness and everything again. So it was really cool to see his transformation. And we talked about, reinventing yourself over and over, the way a lot of SEALs and special operators, they can go through a depression when they transition out because they feel they've already done the most important thing in their life. And a lot of athletes feel the same way when they get out, whether they're, a professional boxer or the NFL or NBA, and they feel like they lose a lot of meaning when they transition. And really it can be just the beginning, and it can be the best foundation for everything else they can do. You just have to have that mindset. And so it's really cool, me and Mike kind of talking about that, and kind of seeing that and seeing the way he, has reinvented himself to be like a business icon, having, multiple businesses, all kinds of stuff, a philosopher, basically. I don't know how closely people have paid attention to him recently, but he's really something special.
Well, everybody has always said about Mike Tyson is, as a personality, like when you're just across from him, everybody that I've talked to that's ever met him or anything I've read, he's very, not demure is not the right word, but very thoughtful. He's very, laid back. He's an easy guy to get along with, but he always flipped the switch when he got in the ring. Right.
Yeah.
And,
or even if someone crosses him too, so I've seen numerous times there's been an interviewer who tried to put him down, and he would flip the switch in a second. That's not pretty.
Well, that's someone I don't think I would want to cross or either. And I wouldn't be on the receiving end of his cross either. That being said, Alan, I know I find this extremely interesting, and Jeff, thank you so much. I mean, we've got a lot of other things that I still want to cover your business and where you're at today and what you're doing today. But Alan, I want you to interject here as well, because Jeff, honestly, I could talk to you about stuff all day. So go ahead, Alan.
What was the question?
Well, do you have anything that you wanted to kind of ask Jeff about relative to his business? And, you're building your business as well. And any specific things that you could kind of pick up from Jeff or would want to ask that someone who's trying to build a business would want to?
Yeah, I mean, I always love asking, other entrepreneurs, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've had and how did you overcome them? Because I think, when I speak to other business owners, it's always, we feel like I'm speaking the same language when, you've had issues, you've been able to overcome them. And obviously you've done that in the military, but I'm curious to know, what are some of the biggest issues you faced growing your business and, what did you do to overcome them?
Yeah, definitely one of the bigger challenges was just getting it all started in the beginning when you don't really have that much money or knowledge yet at the same time. So I basically knew the product I wanted to make, and I hired a designer and made, which I didn't even know at the time, but we made an MVP, like a minimally viable product. And I made just 50 in medium and 50 in large in 2 different designs. So 200 total, and would give them to some friends and some fighters and SEALs and people who had decent Instagrams and social medias, because I didn't quite have a budget yet for advertising, or I wasn't really good at it yet either. Mm-hmm. So I just created my first products and started using it to create content and everything. And also there's some other content that can be free, whether it's memes or patriotic stuff that I would post, or experiences with the SEAL teams and all that. Well, actually, I was actually still active duty at the time, so I couldn't even talk about anything I was doing in the SEAL teams. Couldn't even do anything like that yet. So it was just very basic marketing, and I would just slowly start building my knowledge base. I was in it for the long haul. It wasn't going to be something that would just take off right away. It just took some time, and then I'd have. Eventually, when I moved to LA, I ended up living with Nick Diaz and another pro fighter, AJ Agazarm, and they'd wear my stuff. And Mario, awesome. I'd be doing jujitsu with Mario Lopez, and he would wear my stuff. And doing Mike's podcast, and ended up on Fox and Friends doing the Hudson Seal Swim, where it would go out to millions of people with like 50 Navy SEALs swim in the Hudson River to raise money for homeless veterans and honor uh, our fallen brothers who have passed and honor the 9/11 victims, and doing like different epic charity challenges like that. So it'd be really cool content there. And I just started saying yes to like every type of opportunity like that. Became a board member with the Adaptive Training Foundation, which trains amputee and spinal cord injury veterans out of Dallas, Texas, and would just give some of the swimwear. And I'm like, all right, it's more than, I can't just have these Sungas. I gotta have more things for workouts and stuff. So I'd give the workout and apparel to amputee veterans and do workouts with them, and that would be really cool, unique content, and also support that foundation. We'd do like ski trips, and we'd all be skiing, doing just epic, great stuff that put out a really positive message. And I'm like, all right, well, if it succeeds, amazing. And if it doesn't, at least I'm doing great stuff and putting a positive message out there and having fun along the way. So that was my mindset with all that, and I was really just following my passion with it all too. And it's like you can struggle with something you don't like, or you can struggle with something you like.
That's a good quote. I like that one.
That's a really good quote.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Alan.
I was going to say, so one other thing too, and I have a marketing agency, and I haven't worked with too many clients that are e-commerce, that are selling their products online. But the ones I've had, I've always found it to be its own unique kind of challenges and unique kind of rewards from it. I've done some Facebook ad campaigns and some Google ad campaigns. I mean, a lot of stuff you kind of just mentioned was, kind of grassroots. You're joining different organizations, creating strategic partnerships, going to events and getting your name out there and getting cool content. Have you found that to be like your top strategy, kind of that organic stuff, or have you maybe even done some other stuff like advertising or SEO or some of the other digital strategies? Because we talk a lot about that on this show, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have e-commerce products that they would love to sell and get advice about.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say so. Those were the things I did in the beginning, and then through doing that, I'd have people reach out to me and just want to help me. And I've been very lucky, partially, because of my background, that people wanted to help me and loved what the brand stood for and saw the stuff I was doing with these nonprofits. Really awesome Navy veteran, Dan Caffergy, he saw the brand and was like, hey, I want to help you make your website better. And that was probably in 2019. And he just went into my Shopify, updated the theme, made it better, helped. Yeah, definitely helped. And then he's like, hey, I want to help you with some of your ads. And that might have been like a year later. He started helping me with my ads, and all of a sudden, like that month, it was actually probably March 2020. And we're like, all right, is e-commerce about to die? I was like, well, let's start with like a low budget at first. And the advertising was pretty successful. And we're like, all right, let's bump it up. And it went like maybe 30,000 in March to revenue to like 45 in April to probably like 60 in May. And then by like August, I think we did like 75. And I was like running out of inventory. So
great problem to have.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like doing these other things first is what kind of allowed me to go into the advertising and everything there, and then kind of switched over to Klaviyo for my email marketing. Got a new email marketer recently who helped me create a whole new kind of drip campaign when people buy stuff to increase the lifetime value of all the people that come in and buy. So, and then I found another really good advertiser, Feel the Stoke, and they've really helped me build my Google and AdWords and everything. Especially in the end of 21 and probably 2022 for a while, the Facebook advertising wasn't successful, and I kind of had to stop that for a while. It's picked back up, and we've had good success again with Facebook finally. But for a while, I had lost that channel for a while. It just with the iOS update and some other things, Facebook wasn't a winner for me, and now it is again.
That's
but
great.
I mean, these are the problems, that'll just happen out of nowhere. All like something's a winner for you, and then you wake up one day and it's a total loser. So you almost you kept trying and trying, and eventually it's like, hey, this is literally just losing money. So we had to cut it for a while and tried it a few times until we finally made it a winner again.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I know for me, like when it comes to one of the companies that I have is a marketing agency as well. And one of the things for me is that I like that you did, and something that we preach about on here all the time, is understanding your ROI, right? And understanding how your marketing dollar relates to, actual revenue increases, and being able to understand that and then pivot when you need to. So I think that, again, goes back and reinforces, and one of the things we're going to be talking about on a future show is how to build those KPIs out, so that you understand what's actually generating revenue for you or not. So I love that you said that and shared that.
That's actually, one of my biggest lessons that I kind of forgot to tell you. So it's know when to persevere and know when to pivot. So when I was going through training and I had all this stuff happen to me, I was like, this is what I need. This is what I was born to do. I was born to be a SEAL. I'm going to persevere through this. And I did, and I made it. Now, several years later, after I had accomplished most of these dreams already, and now I had a back injury, and I had other things I want to accomplish with my life, it was time to pivot to the next challenge and go into business. So it was like knowing when to persevere and knowing when to pivot. And there's countless stories in business, but like the big one was from training and then knowing when to retire.
Yeah, and I think it's awareness too, right? Being able to have that visibility to understand when that time has come when it comes to business, right?
Yep.
So like when you're talking about something physical, your body's going to tell you, right? That's built into us, right?
True.
When you're in business, unless you have some sort of structure or reporting structure that you built out and understand what the critical points are and the KPIs and all that, you don't know. So, when it comes to marketing, especially, it's super important, because people think marketing, where a lot of marketing gets a bad rap, is where people don't understand how marketing provides value. And also, when a lot of marketing folks go out there, they don't know how to articulate that to the clients, what value that they're providing. So if they're not seeing, the revenue, or they're just saying, hey, I'm getting X amount of leads, or I'm getting X amount of engagement, right? But they're not connecting that dot on how to provide commitment for the client and capture commitment and be able to show that as a revenue line item for you. I think that's where the gap is for a lot of marketing companies, and a lot of people, when you talk to them, they're like, well, I had marketing before and they just didn't do anything for me. Either A, you didn't understand what they were doing for you, or you didn't understand that they were doing a poor job or putting your money in the wrong place. And so as an agency, you have the advantage where you have all of the different products. So you don't have to push one thing, and you can do right by that person. But I love that you said that, because it's visibility, awareness, and I agree with the pivoting. I mean, that's been a huge part of any business venture I've been in, whether it be $1 billion organization or when you're trying to build.
Yeah, I love that.
So I'm gonna ask this question. Was there anything about your UCF experience? Tell me a UCF story that was impactful for you, whether it be you made a great friend, or or there was something business related that you learned, or something that you brought forward with your UCF experience? What was your best memory or life lesson takeaway?
For me, I mean, I still have the best friends from UCF. We would meet up multiple times a year, all over the country, different countries actually. Uh, I've been a groomsman in probably 10 plus weddings with these guys. I still go up to almost every single football game that I can. That's how me and Alan got connected originally, because I'm just obsessed with UCF football, and love seeing them do so well. Now, let me see what kind of like individual story would be good. I mean,
While you're thinking
which
about
ones
that,
can I tell?
well, anyone, we have to maintain a somewhat PG because
Yeah.
this is being streamed on LinkedIn and YouTube and a few other places.
Yeah. Oh man. Maybe ask me what kind of specific story should I tell? I
Okay.
have a good one. I have a good one actually. This is a great one. So, going through, I was a business major, entrepreneurship track for UCF, and you had to create. I think it was Cornerstone, or it might have even been the entrepreneurship class. Actually, you had to kind of create a fake business and make a whole deck and pitch it and everything. Undergrad, it was probably my junior year. It was very kind of basic stuff, but what was it called? I think so. I'd heard of it. Somebody had probably even talked about it before, but it was like a shuttle where you could basically hop on, and it would bring you to the bars and bring you home. And I think it was called, I think the name, it might have been like Nightmare or some type of thing like that.
Yeah.
And I created, it was in the MySpace days too. So I
Okay. Yeah, we're showing our age now.
yeah, I created a survey, and it was like, oh, who would like UCF to have a service like this and pay for it and all these things. And I kind of put it out there, and I had a few people share it, and next thing it went out. I think like 30,000 people ended up voting for it or something like that. And all these people were like, I can't wait for this to be here. And this is going to be the best business. Or like, people all thought it was something UCF was making by the time it was done. And all of a sudden I saw it one day. I'm like, whoa, what happened to my thing? I'm like, and so that was all part of my pitch. It's like, hey, look how excited people are for this. 30,000 people voted. And all these comments, thousands of comments here. People are all, and we pitched it all and everything. And then people were like, wow, you're really making this, huh? I'm like, no, I'm going to go be a Navy SEAL. Like, it was just
talk about a pivot, right?
Yeah. It was, but yeah, it was pretty funny seeing all that. That was my first UCF business, I guess.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
We were talking about this with Jesse, and I was sharing the story last week how I've started mentoring one of the local students that's going through their bachelor's program that wants to be an entrepreneur. And I think people feel like, or at least we did, I don't know how much awareness there is on campus. I still get the feeling, based on some of this mentorship that I've been doing, that people are still not aware of the tools that are out there, right? And a lot of them will wait until after they're graduated to try to go and build a business. But Jesse made this point too. He's like, I had all the tools there while I was going through this to build a business. So I slowed down my bachelor's degree matriculation, right? And took advantage of the tools while I was going to school. So for those that may be listening now that are going through UCF, make sure you're leveraging those tools, because the more, like you said, the bigger network you have, the more tools you have, the easier it's going to be to launch.
Actually, that's such a good point. I'm so glad you told me that, because I wanna add to it a bit. I don't know. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but honestly, like studying business can be a little boring sometimes. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but it was a little boring to just study business for me, but like doing business and like creating a strategy and putting it into action and seeing it work is so unbelievably exciting. And so that was kind of my whole strategy when I went to UCLA. I was like, hey, I'm going to have this business, take everything I learned from business school, apply it back to my brand to grow my company and make it more successful and make me more interested in business school. And not only do the usually the MBA program is 2 years, but I did the 3 year program, the fully employed program, but I was fully employed on my own business. That was good for me too, because I was doing the GI Bill, so I got paid while I was going to school, and so I got paid for 3 years while I was trying to grow my company, so that I'd be able to like take a salary when I eventually graduated. It would give me more time to get there. And also I was able to, do these like multiple accelerators. First it was Startup UCLA, then it was the business creation option, which was my master's thesis, and then it was the venture accelerator in my final spring. And if I never would have gotten to do that hardly at all if I had done it in 2 years. I don't think my company would have been ready or successful in the business creation option. It never would have been my master's thesis. So for me, it was the greatest thing ever to slow down school, incorporate the programs that UCLA had into that. So anyone who is thinking of doing that, I cannot recommend it enough. And I learned more from doing these accelerators than I did from the actual courses. And having real feedback with very successful VCs and entrepreneurs and like top level faculty that do this for a living. So I can't recommend that enough.
Awesome. All right. So, Alan, did you have any other specific questions? Jeff, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of, one of the questions I always ask anytime is, what didn't I ask you? So I'm gonna leave you with that. I'm gonna ask Alan first. What did you have? Did you have anything else that you wanted to chat with Jeff about?
No, I think you covered a lot of it. We'd love to hear just him give us all of his links and the website and how people can find him. And, I see on the website there's some causes that you support. So I'd love to just kind of just dive into those things so people can find Jeff's company.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think it's just really important to stay open to, new opportunities that come your way. Sunga Life has been awesome, but it's also been a gateway to other ventures that it was almost like, it was how I learned business first, getting to do that while doing my MBA. But I'm now part of this shooting range in West Palm area, and it's called Train Club, and it's basically a country club to be trained by some of the like highest level special operators in the world. Like my business partner on that, Rob O'Neill, killed bin Laden. Other business partner was the Army Ranger, and so it's going to be like 9 acres outdoors, very upscale, exclusive, and going to have about 200 members, 300-meter range, 150-meter range, 35-meter pistol, steel, kill house, clubhouse, gym, sauna, all this stuff. So, completely different type of business, but kind of because I built a name in business and the SEAL teams and everything, I got asked to be a part of this venture as well. And I was like excited to do it. I'm also involved with a search engine called Seeker, Seekr, and it uses AI and machine learning to tell you different human biases that are in news articles and like Tony Robbins and Bear Grylls and several people that own like sports teams and everything are involved in this too. It's a really great project. It's been exciting. It's on the app stores and it's been really. I get all my UCF news on there as well, and it tells you like what's highly rated, what isn't, and why, and are the articles left, right, or center. Lots of things. Everything we do in life, for the most part, if you go to a restaurant, if you go to a hotel, they all have a rating. It's like, why don't our news have a rating? And then it not only like gives it a rating, but tells you why. Like, does the heading match the subject? Is it clickbait? Is it a well-known author? Is it a hit piece? So really, another really interesting thing to be a part of. And then, the foundations I work with out of South Florida mostly is that Forest Blue team, where we dive and save the coral reef with the top scientists in the world and special operators. If you go to Vimeo, we have a lot of documentaries on the work there. We're also partnered with the NFL. So every time there's a Super Bowl, we go to that area and do a mission. And then out of Dallas, Texas, is the Adaptive Training Foundation, training amputee and spinal cord injury veterans. If there's any UCF alumni out of New York, I'm doing a swim August 19th, starting in Liberty Park. We do this, it's going to be our 5th year. So start in Liberty Park, New Jersey, run a mile with American flags. The leapfrogs jump in, the Navy SEAL jump team, land, and then we all jump off this bridge, swim around the Statue of Liberty onto a barge, 100 push-ups, 20 pull-ups, back into the water, around Ellis Island, do 20 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, swim all the way across to Battery Park, and we get giant American flags, run to America's Response Monument and the 9/11 Memorial, do another 20 pull-ups and 100 push-ups, and then we go over to put a flag at the memorial, honor everyone that was a victim there. And it's just a great way to kind of show, come together as SEALs and patriots and show, honor our fallen, and just just come together as a nation. So that's going to be exciting, and it's also on different news channels.
I love it. Offline, if you give me some of the links or anything that you have that I can take away, and that way I can promote those as they come up too, because I'm a big proponent of military focused charities as well. And were you involved with Pineapple Express, by the way?
I wasn't involved there, but I had several friends who were, like Jason Redman and some people.
Yeah, I knew some people that were involved with that too, and that was a phenomenal grassroots effort by DevGru that just people don't realize what all they were doing, and
absolutely, it was
who they were doing it for.
Crazy. Yep. Yeah.
So thank you so much again.
Thanks, Jeff.
I was definitely going to let you shout yourself out there at the end, because we appreciate it. But obviously we're all football fans. Actually, that's where Alan and I initially met too, and then 2 other guys that usually join us on the show. And we all kind of came together and said, we've got this alumni base that's growing, and we're trying to provide connections and resources for people that are entrepreneurs so we can support each other. And so this is another way for us to do that. And we're also working with UCF directly and their incubator program. I don't know if you work with them at all or are interested in that, but that would be
I'd love to get involved. I haven't been, just because I was away for a while, but I would love to be involved with that. I love everything UCF is doing. Business-wise.
Big 12 on Saturday.
Yeah. Finally, it's come a long way.
Dude, that is an understatement.
We're all gonna have to get together and do some tailgating this year too. Me and Alan did last year. Are you in Orlando, Roger, or where are you?
I'm actually out of Santa Rosa Beach, near Pensacola, so you should know that area, awesome. And Destin area. So, but I come down for the football games and stuff, season
Great.
ticket holder and
Great.
all that fun stuff. So, but we all, Alan and I both had, podcasts and other things that were athletics related, but we love our nights. I've since '98 was my first UCF game. So Citrus Bowl,
The
0 and
old Citrus
11.
Bowl.
Yeah,
It was
the whole
it was a trip.
Old school.
It was a trip down there.
But yeah, no, it was a trip out there if you made it out of the parking lot alive, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
at that time, it was really bad. But yeah, but like I said, this is another business case, though. Everybody talks about why do athletics for a university? This is exactly why. Years later, group of people coming together through athletics, but we're doing other things. So. One, I just can't tell you enough. Thank you again for everything that you did for us and taking up the banner and we'll never know all the things that you did, but those of us that know the kinds of things that you do appreciate that you did. So I'm going to leave that at that. Hopefully you and I will get together offline. And is there anything else you wanted to say here before we part ways?
No, I appreciate it. It's been so great to get to do this with you guys. My first UCF podcast here, so it was a huge honor. And yeah, beautiful how UCF football made it all happen.
True.
Oh yeah. Alan, did you have anything?
No, just thank you again, Jeff. I'm sure we'll see each other at a tailgate again this year, and go Knights, charge on.
Definitely.
And go Knights in the Big 12. And, this is a professional podcast, so I won't say what I usually say about the directionally challenged school out West. But I'm excited. I'm excited for Saturday and to see where this takes us. I think this team's going to, I think this school is ready to make the leap. And I think that's in a lot of different things. So I'm excited to be part of it. So thank you again, Jeff. We'll get together offline. I'll definitely have a beer with you.
Awesome.
Or, for me, it's Red Bull or not Red Bull. I'm sorry. Fireball.
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 Right.
It's always
Fireball.
It's always Fireball season during football season. So
now you're really giving me SEAL team nostalgia.
Hey, good chilled Fireball. There's nothing better.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks again. We've got a few news and notes for the viewers, but can't wait to get together with you soon.
All right. Same here.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a great one, guys. Great talking.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right, little trigger happy with that. Couple quick notes that I just kind of wanted to share with everybody. We Josh Lazar and I did meet with the incubator program this past week. They were really excited about what we're doing, wanted to partner with us. And we're actually putting together an executive summary for them so that they can take it further up the chain at UCF. They're actually going to be participating in the show with us, as well as highlighting some of the folks that are going through the incubator program. So you're going to see more of that on the show. And the thought process is to support folks, number one, who are going through the incubator program, and really highlight their services. And then we're also working with the School of Business and a few other places to kind of promote that. So I'm really excited about that work that's happening. Josh has gone through another round of edits on the app that we've created for everyone. So goldenknightsclub.com, check it out, enter in your information so folks can, exchange information on the services that they provide. And actually, Alan, I'm going to let you kind of preview next week. We've got another interview lined up for next week on coaching. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one too. It happens to be my business partner. His name is Juan Ortega. He spent about 15 to 20 years actually in the hotel industry. And I'm sure he'll get into this in his story, but basically kind of had a little bit of a midlife crisis kind of thing and had no desire to be in the hotel world anymore. So he decided to go into business coaching. I mean, there's some more details there, but has turned into one of the top business coaches in the country. Based on revenue that he helps his clients produce and sales and all this other stuff. So he's really good with mindset training, team building, how to treat and look at sales and marketing, how to optimize that. Looking at the financial side. I mean, he's got a really wide knowledge base when it just comes to all aspects of business. But he's a coach, and I think he's going to provide some great insights on building a business, getting people unstuck if they are stuck in their business, and just helping with all those different areas that are so crucial to business.
Awesome. Yeah, super excited. Coaching is one of the things that's super important for all of us as leaders, whether you're working in the corporate world or the entrepreneurial world. It's really important to have good coaching, whether it's from your superiors or whether it's someone who, is someone as a resource from the outside. And I can talk a little bit about that experience too. For me, because Disney, when I worked for Disney, they were extremely good at that. So excited to have him on. Can't wait to talk to him next week. And Alan, anything else you wanted to cover for this week's show? And of course, Smarty Pants with a Z. Make sure you mention that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, nothing else. Great show today. I thought Jeff was really interesting. I think every week we're able to have some really entertaining and interesting guests that provide a lot of insight. So looking forward to continue down that route. But for me, my business, Smarty Pants Marketing, you can find us at www.smartypantswithazmarketing.com. The same thing on social media. You can also reach me at alan@smartypantswithazmarketing.com if you want to chop it up or, get some advice on marketing.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. And for me, it's Seven Lights Marketing Agent. So it's our FIPS at sevenlights-agency.com. There's a few other companies that that we're working on, software, real estate ecosystem, etc. And then if you're interested in any kind of consulting, you can reach me at bossleadershipsolutions.com. Thank you at gmail.com. Forgot the at Gmail. Thank you so much for a great week. And I'm going to leave you with this. Please like, subscribe, and grind. Have a great week, folks. Can't wait to talk to you next week.
Awesome.